So, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has revealed the 323 films eligible for this upcoming Academy Awards. Because you have to qualify. And the voting has begun. And of those 323 films, 203, so about 2/3 of them, are eligible for Best Picture. So, the eligibility rules to be eligible for any of the categories is the film has to have had a 7-day qualifying run in either Los Angeles County, New York City, the Bay Area, Chicago, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or Atlanta. That's why you often have indie movies that you've never heard of get nominated for Academy Awards, because what they'll do is literally have a 1-week run in one of those areas the last week of December, and it qualifies, and then once it gets nominated for something, then they do a big campaign. They do a big, they do their more wide release elsewhere in the country. So that's just for films for the Oscars in general. But then the Best Picture nominations have additional requirements. So they need to fulfill the Academy representation and inclusion standards. That was something introduced a couple of years ago to try to make the industry more inclusive by forcing film productions like, okay, if you want to be considered for Best Picture, you have to have like X amount of X% of people from one of these groups, or this, which is a whole other can of worms. But in any case, that is still one of the requirements. I think this might be the first year it's going into effect, but I could be wrong. Maybe they started it last year. I'm not quite sure. And additionally, you also need a 7-day run. Not just in one of those major metro areas, but you need a 7-day run in 10 of the top 50 U.S. markets, no later than 45 days after its initial 2024 release. So it can't just be for 1 week in Chicago. You need to be a little bit wider than that, in order to be considered. So There are a couple front runners here for I just want to look at Best Picture. So pouring over the 200 films, there's I would say there's 4 front runners that could win, and not just get nominated but win. All 4 of these will be nominated for Best Picture. But the question is, of these 4, which will win? I think the front runners are Anora, The Brutalist, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. The Brutalist and Amelia Perez, because those were the 2 respective drama and musical/comedy winners from the Golden Globes. And then Anora and Wicked, because those seemed like the frontrunners before the Golden Globes. So those are kind of like the 4 that I'm like, I'm going to bet any one of those 4 is going to be the one to win. I did go through as an exercise and went through all the films that were eligible for Best Picture. And I'm going to just give you a little, just so I can share my own little opinions here, as if I don't do that enough on the show. Here are the films that I would nominate. And notably, I've not seen every important or big or good movie that came out in 2024, so there's still stuff, like I said, I'm going to see Nosferatu, hopefully on Thursday, so that might, it be added to this list if I were to be an actual Academy voter. But of the eligible films, here are the films that I thought were the best for 2024. Alien Romulus, Anora, The Apprentice, Challengers, Civil War, Conclave, Dune Part 2, My Old Ass, Problemista, We Live in Time, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. So I think that's like 12 or 13. So I think like the cap is there would be 10 movies. So I would have to take 3 of those out if I got to just decide the nominations. But enough about what I think. So in terms of like predictions, like I said, so I told you the 4 that I think could win Best Picture. But which 10 films are going to be the nominees? I think the definites are going to be the 4 that I said: Anora, The Brutalist, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. I also think Conclave is definitely going to get nominated for Best Picture. In terms of films I think that are likely, I think you're most likely going to see those other 5 films be Challengers, A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, A Real Pain, and The Substance. Especially The Substance is the surprising one that's gotten so much traction since the Golden Globes. And those are basically all the nominees for the Golden Globes, right? The other two nominees being Nickel Boys and September 5th, I think those could also be dark horses. Those could replace, I think if those two were to replace any of them, the likely candidates, it would be a real pain in the substance. I think Challengers, A Complete Unknown, Due Part 2 are not definites, but are a lot more secure. I think it probably could be anything between a real pain in the substance, Nickel Boys, and September 5th that fill out those last two spots. We're still gonna have to wait a little bit though until we really find out, because nominations were supposed to be announced this upcoming Friday, the 17th of January, but voting has been delayed due to the wildfires in Los Angeles, and that's really thrown a wrench into everything. So, I'm not sure if they've announced a new date of like when they're gonna be announcing the nominations, but hopefully soon. But hopefully this ecological disaster ends and people, are able to start rebuilding their lives. The Academy Awards is really at the bottom of the priorities here, but at the end of the day, it is still something interesting. So, I'm hoping that things kind of start getting back on track soon. Wow, what an interesting story. I'm sure you have some thoughts about the topic, so comment below, let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really helps people find the channel and makes me feel all warm inside. Until next time, I'm Peter Mancuso. Peace out.